Beauty of television. We are now joined by promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, it was all quite respectful in the build-up to this fight. I can't start by not starting about what happened at the end there with that voice note. Your immediate
great,
thoughts.
isn't it? I mean,
I thought you were smiling.
It is, and it was like I've never seen Sam Jones lost for words.
Yeah.
Listen, you actually say a lot of things. I'm sure over the years, before we started representing Tony, I'm sure I mugged him off a couple of times or tried to.
Well, he was very complimentary about me, to be honest, until he got to know me.
Yeah, it was like...
You better hope they don't come out.
They probably will. They've probably already come out. But, you know, I think that little bit of mind games, little bit of war of words, it's a great fight. It really is. And I see something a little bit different about Regis Prograis in this fight. I think he was quite honest in his assessment where he said, I won a world title, and I think he lost a little bit of his hunger, like in his defence against Zorilla that we did at New Orleans, and then the Haney fight. I've always thought Regis was quite a spiteful character, and I just didn't really see it in those fights. He needs to show that in this fight as well. And, you know, I think Gomez against Bellotti is going to be a war, and to be honest with you, I'm just here for Jimmy Joe Flint against Campbell Hatton. I've never been so excited about like an area title fight in my life.
What were they saying up there?
He was talking about a fan that came up to him, and then he found out that Campbell found out that the fan was a Jimmy Joe Flint fan, and he spat his dummy out, and then Campbell saying, what on earth are you going on about? And then he said, I'm going to end your career. Your career is over on Saturday night. And the reality of this fight, and this is why it's so intriguing, is his career might be over on Saturday night if he loses. How old is Campbell? 24, 25? I mean, he's a baby. If you lose...
Younger, I think.
It's a defining fight in his career.
Yeah, but the thing is, Tony, if you lose at this level, you can't carry on these shows.
But listen,
but that's why I find it so intriguing. And I love the fact, because Campbell lost, right? We were giving him an 8-rounder. Because he really, because it's like, if you lose 2 on the bounce at that level, you can't expect to carry on being a TV fighter.
If he wasn't in the position he was in to start with, though, he wouldn't be getting given this shot now.
No, I know, but now we're here, after everything that he's been through. He's built up all that experience and resume. Listen, maybe he's not just good enough, but
he's trying.
The first fight was really good and entertaining, and you know this fight will be a war. It will be a war.
I just said to Jay, he took the words out of my mouth. I said, no matter what happens on Saturday night, you're going to be entertained by them two going at it, because that first fight was proper. They leathered each other, and they gave it to each other from start to finish. And in my opinion, they'll pick up where they left off. I think... I know what Flynn's saying. He's going to revert to type. Once he starts getting hit with a few shots, the toys will come out the pram and he'll just let his hands go. I think he might do, but I think that'll be maybe after 6-7 rounds. I think he'll be cruising for the first 6, and then I think that's where he might revert to type. Does the revert to type get him stopped? I don't know, because he did get hurt a few times in that first fight, and he also hurt Flynn a few times. So it's one of them. I'm excited by it. I really like it. Going on to the Prograis fight. I think the Haney loss, anyone's going to struggle with Haney when he goes on the back foot. If Haney just comes in the ring with you and wants to box you, I'm sorry, you're going to really, really struggle, unless you're Ryan Garcia.
What impact mentally do you expect that might have had on Regis, that defeat, the manner of it?
I just felt he was a bit flat in the build-up to that fight. He never really, no fighter really wants to come to England and fight a Brit, right? And when
problems making weight?
No. And when we signed him, he said, "I'm not going back to England because I beat Josh Taylor and I got robbed in that fight." And listen,
didn't get robbed.
No, but it was a fight. It was
really
a very close fight, right? But the reality is he's actually gone because he could have had a comeback fight after Haney, and he's gone. No, do you know what? Throw me in with Catterall in England, in Manchester. I was actually quite surprised. And I just think it's a really good clash of styles. I actually think one thing that Regis said, which you have to say, is without Josh Taylor on the resume...
I don't like that analogy. It doesn't work because he's on your resume. So stop saying... Okay, if I didn't have bollocks, I'd be a woman.
To viewers at home,
this press has been full of
an interesting comment.
I'm just saying, this wasn't as bad as your comment you just made there about cojones.
Oh, that's all right. That's what I want to say.
A little bit of Spanish.
Listen, Pat McCormack, right? I want to see these. Cause I think Pat McCormack is a world champion in the weight-in, right? I think he's an outstanding fighter. I really, really want. I feel like going up to Diego, right? Sorry, to Mauricio Herrera, and saying to him, "Listen, you give me a war tonight, and you and your family are flying business class home," or something. I don't know, because it's like I need him tested, because I need to put Pat McCormack in deep in the next 12 months.
He needs to get moving now.
He does.
We've seen what this kid done against Donovan, so this is a decent test. This kid was having a right go at Donovan until he gets nailed.
7 rounds. It was a good fight for 7 rounds.
It was a really good fight, and you know what? I spoke to Pat before and I said, you know what, kid, this kid's gonna He's gonna give you a go. He's not gonna come here and just go into a turtle shell. This kid's gonna have a fight.
That's what I want.
That's what you need.
I really, really need these prospects to be tested, because there's a moment now in British boxing where the older guard, some of those bigger names are coming to the end of their career, and I really need the guys like Junaid, like Pat McCormack, like Joe McGrail. Obviously, Peter's got his big fight coming up as well, which I can't wait for, by the way. Do you think Peter McGrail wins that fight against Dennis McCann?
Oh, that's a hard fight, mate. That's a really hard fight. It's a brilliant fight.
I think, as good as, obviously, Joe McAnally's a great boxing brain.
Yeah,
I think they know how tough that fight is.
Let me tell you, there's not a better pure boxer in this country than Peter McGrail. A pure boxer. Pure boxer. Just on pure boxing.
Brother's exciting as well. He's more spiteful.
He's game as they coming.
Yeah.
He likes a fight. He's a hard case. Peter McGrail, as when it comes to ability and talent and setting shots up, angles, what he can do with boxing, he's unbelievable, mate. I'm telling you now, the amateur pedigree. But Dennis McCann's a problem. Dennis McCann will not be found wanting. He will be super fit. He will be game, and he will not stop. That'll get fights of the night.
Yeah. Just bring it back to this card, Eddie,
Sorry,
the main
mate.
event. No, it's all right. No, I'm enjoying the chat.
Fights of the night.
We could do this all day, but when you look at this card, you look at the DAZN schedule. Big fight in Puerto Rico in December between Paro and Hitchens. Yeah. You've made it very clear the winner of this fight's the winner of that.
Listen, for me, Jack is like an uncrowned world champion. I think he deserves another shot at a world championship, and I've got to admire him for taking this one, because we've got so many fighters at 140 pounds. We've got the winner of Paro against Hitchens to fight whatever 140 pounder we want. Jack could have had a warm-up fight, and then I could have given him that fight, but he said, no, give me Regis Prograis, and I love that. Yeah. Because if you win this fight, then you're a stone-cold certainty for a world championship shot. Your stock has risen. We can do the Paro fight in Manchester. We can do it in Brisbane. We can do it in New York. Yeah. And I really listen. I'm fed up in boxing of almost like this criticism of when you get beat, it's like it was a bad style for you, or you shouldn't have taken that fight, or it's like Tim Tszyu the other week.
I do agree, we're taking him on the back of a loss.
Yeah, but Tony, but this is the thing. Do you want great fights with drama, or do you just want to be steered in the right direction? Now, I know that I steered you in the right direction, right?
Bit of decorum here.
I mean, look, Makabu, I gave you a world championship at Goodison Park. Wow. David Hay was 74.
Wow.
I mean,
unbelievably, as swear to God.
And what about that European title fight against Masterman?
Don't annoy me, because he had the pants down off me for that fight. Paid me buttons.
You should see him in the car park.
And you know what his words were to me in the build? He said to me, Tone, if you can't beat Matthias Masternak, you can't be a world champion. And the rage, if I could have been in front of his face when he said that down the phone to me, I was there was steam coming out my ears.
It was a 12-round war. And I think he got about the same money as Pat McCormack on Saturday.
Don't start me off. Well, thankfully, I earned a couple.
Actually, no, less. See,
unbelievable.
You've done all right, though.
They're telling me, Mia, you've got to wrap up. So let's.
You want value? You want entertainment? What's the matter?
Depends. I mean, it's free. It's on YouTube.
I know. It's like Bellew and Hearn all over again.
Much more to come from myself, from Eddie Hearn, and from Tony Bellew as well. Don't forget, join us for the official weigh-in 6 p.m. tomorrow. Matchroom and DAZN YouTube channels from right here in Manchester. Here's a little reminder of why this